99% of the time, it's us. Once you really start kind of growing up and maturing mentally and spiritually, you're like, she did this because I did that.
Right.
It was always a domino effect.
Yeah.
Every man out there is probably saying, oh man, my girl is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, stop cheating on her.
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. Yeah, I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues.
Welcome to another episode of the Married Game Podcast. We are the voice you trust when it comes to lust, and we are who you hire when she lacks desire. And we have a very special guest in-house today, Carlos Reyes. Welcome, my man.
My brother.
Dude, I'm excited to have you in here because here's the thing. We believe this is a pretty interesting and unique podcast. We aim for 100% guys, but there's actually about 25% women that watch this.
I love it.
And they recommend it a lot to their husbands and say, hey, go listen to these crazy guys. And we have 5 dials: how to be a good partner, how to be a good parent, how to be a good producer, how to be a player within your marriage, having fun, and then how to own and stand in your power. That equals a provocateur, a man who provokes his wife to want him. One of the things that you've done really great at, and you're known for, is being good at the production dial. That's amazing, and I want to get into that a little bit. But I want to go some other spots with you because you're not just a producer of moolah. And your story of coming from Mexico and all that, there's a lot of other podcasts where they talk about that. And I want you to feel free to share that because I know how proud you are of what you've been able to become and do. But I want to go some different angles with you on this podcast. It's a unique podcast. You're a unique fella.
Thank you.
You have an amazing energy. It's why I was so honored to be able to say, hey, yeah, let's have you on the podcast. We just had an amazing weekend together.
Oh, yeah.
Breath work. You do right over on that couch.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Whew.
Spiritual experience for sure.
Yeah, so I want to get into a lot of that, but is there anything that you want to just, sometimes I've been on a lot of podcasts, you're on a lot of podcasts, that you're like, hey, I just want to open up with this.
I want to flow. I want to flow today, and I want to flow in particular or specifically around what you are doing, you know, what you're doing for humanity, you know, the light that you are shining. Because I don't know if you know this, but there is a 50%, maybe even higher divorce ratio in America right now. And I believe that that ratio is probably in the 70 percentile when it comes to entrepreneurs. So I want to dive really deep. I want to go down the rabbit hole on how, you know, we can stop it or we can reduce that. Man, it's getting out of hand. It's headed in the wrong direction. And I feel like America, which we both love, love the huge, amazing, beautiful flag that you have here.
It's beautiful.
I always say, born in Mexico, made in America. Like that's me. You know what I mean?
Ooh, that's good.
Born in Mexico, made in America. I feel like something that's lacking in this particular country over all the other countries in the world is the father is not in the home. The father is not in the home. And what happens when the father isn't in the home? Did you grow up with or without a father? With.
An amazing dad.
Praise God.
Yeah.
You are one of the lucky few.
For sure.
Right? If you look at the ripple effect with what happens because the father is not in the home, it doesn't turn out very well for the children.
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second, right? Where does most crime, like what parts of the city does most crime come from, right? Sometimes inner city, right? And if you look at, you know, the percentage of the father being in the house in those particular area, it's little to none. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's just one small example of the ripple effect of the father not being in the home. Yeah. Right. And then we're gonna go down the rabbit hole today. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I got great questions for you. My wife and I we don't believe in the D word. Yeah. You know what the D word is, right? Yeah. The divorce. Yeah. We don't believe in the D word. And I was talking to some of the Ascend Brotherhood over the weekend, right? And some of them have gone through, you know, 1, in some cases 2 D words, divorce, right? Yeah. And They were very open about it, by the way, and I was very open about everything. And I'm going to be very open. I'm going to dive really deep. I'm going to be vulnerable today. Cool. I'm going to share all the mistakes that I've made in my relationship. Yeah. I've been with my wife since I was a teenager. Yeah. Right? Like, we started dating August 19th, 2001 is the day that I asked her to be my girlfriend, and we were teenagers in high school. You know, so I know everything from cheating, you know, being unfaithful, to making her, I've never, praise God, I've never physically abused her, but I have mentally abused her. I have emotionally dragged her through the mud, right? And a lot of that came from me being a hurt, toxic individual. You understand what I'm saying? I do, yeah. Right? And again, I didn't grow up with the father. Yeah. Right? So I didn't know how to be a significant other. I didn't know, I didn't have anybody to model after. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to dive into today, man. I want to dive into that.
Well, you are a model, and this is why I'm so excited to have you on here to shine light on you. And so that the, you know, the current size of the audience, last we checked, is about 30,000 an episode, is what I'm hearing.
I love it.
Which means that there's going to be 20,000 plus dudes that are going to be looking to you and going, okay, what's your model? Well, first of all, here's what your model's proven from basically what I'm telling you, what you just said. You've got some longevity in your model. Your model's proven to work over the long haul.
Yeah.
Since 2001 till now, you're 21 years into this thing. Yep. So that's proven to work.
Wow. That's bro, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, dude, I'm a mathlete, bro.
I love that. Good stuff.
So because we always say here, you know, because people talk about some of the stuff I believe, they don't like it, or they don't think some of the stuff Garrett believes, they don't like it, or they don't like what Jesse believes, and we're just like always saying, well, inspect the fruit. Inspect the fruit.
Perspective.
Yeah. Perspective. And hey, if you like it, we really like our marriage. Do you know a better one? Then go follow their advice. If you don't, then maybe ours will work for you. Yours has proven to be lengthy. You've gotten through some obstacles, which is one of my main questions was, these are the two questions I want to get out from the get-go, like us running out of this track on this conversation. Number one, what do you think the biggest obstacles are causing these divorces? And number two, what is the biggest obstacle you guys have overcome in your relationship? So those are those two questions I want to set the table with. So what do you think the biggest obstacle? Because you're right. By the way, it's 82% here in Southern California, the divorce rate. That's where I came up with that phrase that I believe every great marriage is on the doorstep of divorce.
People are popping marriages like they're popping candy.
Yeah.
Right? What I don't understand that. You know, it took me, by the way, I had commitment issues. Brother, I didn't marry my wife until November 23rd, 2019. Okay. I've been with her since August 19th, 2001. You want to talk about commitment issues?
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I love it.
What did it take me? 18 years? Yeah. 18 years and two children later. I got a 10-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old daughter, you know, together. You know, I don't have any, praise God, you know, I don't have any, like, seeds out there, that, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. And very common these days, by the way. That's the new norm, right? Yeah. Man, like, I remember when the norm was not that. Yeah. I remember when the norm was two people that become one, and that are companions in this challenge that we call life, right? This beautiful experience. It is a challenge, but it's a beautiful experience, and you can make it a beautiful experience, right?
The challenge makes it beautiful too.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It forces everybody to grow, right? And I remember when it was normal in America to be an honorable man and be there, you know, and be and be the rock of the family. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That's gone. And why is it that now, you know, if you take a look at even, like, you know, welfare all across the country, why is it that it's the woman that's taking care of the children? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here as men? Yeah. Dude. What are we? And I think that's where we start, by the way.
Okay, so that's one of the biggest obstacles, you think?
We start with us as men. 99% of the time, it's us. Yeah. It's us. And you know what? It was hard for me to understand that, and it was very difficult for me to believe that. But once you really start kind of growing up and maturing, right, mentally and spiritually, you're like, holy smokes, she did this because I did that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're the cause.
There was always, there was always a domino effect.
Yeah.
Right? Every man out there is probably saying, oh man, my girl's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, stop cheating on her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, right? Like,
That's exactly
I used to tell my friends that, yeah, man, I love her, man, but she's crazy, man. She's crazy. But I wouldn't tell them like, yeah, she caught me cheating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she caught me flirting. She caught me, lying. I wouldn't no one tells their friends that.
You didn't leave all your. You didn't
Oh
show
yeah.
all your
Oh yeah.
evidence.
She's just crazy. Hey mom. Hey mom. She's crazy. Hey sister. She's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey best friend. She's crazy.
Yeah.
And they never asked me, well, why?
Yeah.
Are you doing anything? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah,
That was
exactly.
never a question because at that time I think everybody was like, oh yeah, man, she's crazy.
That's
right?
always the first question Jesse and I ask when we talk about, like, yeah, something happened. We're like, well, okay, well, hold on. I'm sure that happened. What's your part in this? Give us the dish on you. Okay, so, dude, you better. Okay, so what do you think is the biggest? I'm a big believer about the whole thing in divorce. I don't think 80% of divorces needed to happen. I think sometimes people just make the wrong mistake. They go and they do something stupid. But I think 80 to 90% of divorces do not need, like, genuinely, like, that doesn't have to happen. Like, if this guy would step up, that's not, it not doesn't have to, it just wouldn't happen if the dude stepped up like you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, why does it take guys so long to wake the fuck up? Because have you noticed it takes a couple of 2x4s to the head to finally go.
Or 2 divorces.
Or 2 divorces.
Or 3 divorces.
Yeah.
And 5 children from.
Well, I was on my second one when I finally woke up and go, oh, Jesse, I already got divorced before Jesse. And then Jesse left me and I was like, okay, I'm the problem. So it did.
What's the common denominator, right? You know what I mean? But I think, most men, we don't know what we don't know. You know, it's like when you're in pain, you don't know you're in pain. And what I mean by you're in pain is you have some healing to do, right? Psychologically and spiritually or emotionally. And you don't know that. And someone can tell you, hey man, I think you got some stuff you got to work out, whether it's through therapy, whether it's you go and spend 30 days with monks, whatever you need to do. Yeah. But you need to get yourself aligned here or else you're going to keep hurting people.
Okay, I want to get into the cheating and the stuff like that because it's around this. But one of my questions specifically for you and any guy that comes in here is I go, what was something that you believed that you finally had to admit, okay, I have to admit I'm wrong here, and that led to healing? For me, I had to admit this last year and a half, I'm not as disciplined as I need to be to get the results I actually want to in my life, and I had to admit, you're not doing the work. And that was hard for me to actually swallow for a long time. But once I realized, oh shit, I didn't do the work, and then I started doing the work, I was like, well, we can get this stuff. Was there any belief for you in that?
Yeah, I can tell you this, and listen,
I want shifts, paradigm shifts.
We'll get into communication and how important that is. Yeah, I feel like communication. Well, first of all, trust. This is, in my opinion, right? And I didn't really come like prepared, like, okay, because we're gonna go off the cuff, we're gonna flow, we're gonna be natural. Yeah. But this is what I truly believe can make marriages work. Okay.
That's good. Trust
is first.
Yep.
Right. You have an old saying, by the way, which I love. When the trust goes up, the lust goes up. Right. I love it. I just think it's so funny, but it's so true. It's so true. Anyway, trust is number one. Yeah. Trust is number one in every way, on a macro level and on a micro level. On a macro level is, hey, I trust you that you're not going to betray me, or you're not going to betray our family, right? And on a micro level is, hey, I trust you that you're doing everything you're telling me you're doing. You're taking out the trash, you're paying the bills, whatever it is that you're saying you're doing, right? Yeah. So there's macro and micro levels of trust. Trust is huge. The foundation does have to be love. The foundation has to be love. So love, right? So this is the way I would do it. Love, number one. Okay. Trust, number two.
Well, hold on. You define trust really well. Can you define love as well, or similarly?
Yeah. So
because what does love mean? I love a burger. I love a dog. I love a blowjob.
Love is connection.
Okay.
Love is spiritual. Love is hey, man, like, this is my human. This is somebody that I want to try to spend the rest of my life with. Yeah. I have a text message from my wife when I was leaving the man cave yesterday. Okay. I think you'll appreciate this. You ready?
Yeah.
My wife says, Okay, almost
Did
done.
it start with olele? No, I'm just kidding.
6:33. Do you want to read that real quick? 6:33 when I left the man cave yesterday. 6:33. Did you check me in? She's checking my flight in.
Did you check me in, babe? Oh, yes, I did.
What did she say? But say it out loud. So
yeah, okay. Well, let me read. Okay, you read.
Yeah, read it. Read it to everybody.
All right.
I said, "Hi, babe. Did you check me in?
Did you
right?
check me in? She
to
goes,
my flight.
Yes, I did, my love.
Yes, I did, my love. What did I say?
Almost done here. I love you so much and miss you so much, babe. Baby, this is her. Baby, I love you way more. There are no words to describe my everlasting love for you. Thank you. Wow, heart from you. Same, babe. This life is the next one. This life and the next one. I'm so excited. I love Keith so much. I can't wait to be on the podcast. No, I'm kidding. Dude, this is why I wanted you on the podcast. The times that we've been to hang out when we were both speaking at different spots and then hanging out and just this vibration, this frequency, I'm like, okay, this guy understands how to make sure that his wife loves him too. He can't just say, I love you. But those aren't shocking or surprising. They're amazing, but they're not shocking coming from you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's my everyday life.
Yeah.
And I believe that your significant other can create chaos in your life, or your significant other can create just
comfort.
Harmony.
Yeah.
Harmony, because a lot of people, you know, we're going to go through the foundations that have worked in my marriage, right? Which is, again, trust, love. You said define love, right? Define love.
Which sounds like just this
that's
heartfelt
love,
sensation.
right? That's love. Love is you give yourself freely and fully to your significant
There's a vulnerability
other.
there.
Everything.
Yeah.
Mind, body, spirit.
Okay.
Right? Mind, body, spirit. And love is patient.
Okay.
And love is kind, and love doesn't judge. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? And that's what
Bible up in here. We're quoting some scripture there.
Well, I'm being 100% with you because
yeah, we can quote the Bible here.
Listen, love doesn't quit.
Yeah.
If you quit on your significant other, right, and you guys are thinking about divorce, or you went through a divorce, you really have to sit back and reflect. Did we love each other as much as we said we did?
Yeah.
Did we love each other as much as we said we did? Because I'll tell you what, just like I said, love doesn't quit, man. Love prevails.
Yeah.
Remember that old the old Beatles? All you need is love.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. All you need is, brother. I think love is the most powerful, energetic frequency, the most powerful emotion that there is, you know, on this realm. And when you love someone, you know, don't get me wrong, you're gonna have your ups and I don't have a perfect marriage.
Yeah, nobody does.
But I have a great, beautiful, harmonious marriage. Yeah, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Right.
So love shows up for them. Is that how we define love?
So trust, love, and communication.
All right, let's break this one down.
Okay, you ever hear that old saying that men are from Venus and women are from Mars or something?
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, listen, it's taken me years to comprehend my wife.
Yeah.
And I've been with her for longer than half of my life. I'm 38 years old. I've been with her for 21 years.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
I've been with her longer than I've been by myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and I just started to begin to understand her. I promise, I believe that most men, 90% of the time, we don't even understand what our wives are telling us.
I agree.
We don't.
Yeah.
When was the last time, for every husband out there and every boyfriend out there, when was the last time that you said, hey babe, can I talk to you for a second? Right? Just ask for permission, ask for an opening, right? Yeah. And then what is she gonna say? You know, yeah, okay, let's talk. And then when was the last time you sat down, just like you and me are sitting down, and say, hey babe, I didn't really understand what you were saying yesterday can you help me understand that? Brother, you have to work actively proactively on communicating.
Well, but here's what you did psychologically, though, is you asked permission, which says, I respect your boundaries, and I respect if you want to say, no, we don't have to talk right now. Most guys aren't willing to do that. They're like, hey, listen, I've got time to talk, so now we got to talk. And I used to do that for Jesse. I would kind of railroad her. And I'm a highly enthusiastic guy, as you know. And I'm really enthusiastic in the morning. I'm up at 4, ready to go. So by the time I meet them around 7:30 to get them ready and go to school, it's like lunchtime for me. You know what I mean? And I used to be like, what's up? And they're like, well, we just got up, motherfucker. Can you tone it down? So I realized that, but I was offended that like I had to change my style for them. And then I realized, wait a second, don't you want to have influence on them? Maybe you want to use a language they understand. And then I realized the goal of a loving person of somebody else, if I love you, I want to communicate in a way that makes you feel loved. So I changed it and gave it the platinum rule. Tell me if you like this. The golden rule is great, but I think it's short of the platinum rule.
Ooh.
The golden rule is do unto others as you want done unto yourself. The platinum rule is do unto others as you know they want done unto them. Because it lands.
I love it.
I
love it.
Can I tell you a really quick story? Because I have another follow-up to this thing about communication because it's so powerful, because I want to break down what you just said. I like breaking, have you noticed I kind of like breaking things, like why this is happening? Yeah. So imagine, what sport do you love the most, Carlos?
Football.
Okay. What's your team?
You really want me to say that on this podcast?
Yeah, it's fine. What is it?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, so imagine some sort of stroke.
Here comes all the hate. No, I'm just
some sort of stroke of luck or miracle actually happens, and they make it in the playoffs, right? Are they pretty good right now?
So this is what's going to happen. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make it. I think they clinched yesterday.
Okay.
And I'm going to take my wife. We always go to playoff games.
Okay.
So,
okay. Yeah. You're gonna love this then. Okay. Imagine you guys don't go to the playoff game, and your wife's like, "Hey, listen, I have the kids over at our friend's house. I'm gonna make you your favorite meal tonight. I'm going to sit you down in front of that playoff game, quiet, peace and quiet, just you and me, your favorite meal, and I'm going to rub your shoulders. I want this to be your time to enjoy this game. The only thing I'm going to ask from you, though, is that you allow me and let me give you a blowjob during the halftime. Will you do that? Was that a deal you would say yes to? Okay.
Absolutely.
And every guy, and I've asked it in a room of 30 people, and everyone's like, I would love that. I would love that.
Why do we have to wait for halftime?
Right.
Right. Like,
okay, but so check this out.
First quarter.
So that says to you, wow, this lady knows how to make me feel loved. So here's the reversal.
She knows how to treat me.
Yeah. What is that for her? If a husband asked, what is that for her? And I would do that for her, that's understanding communication style.
Yep.
That's the platinum rule.
Yep. And I believe that.
Is that what you're saying? In a sense?
And you know what? Listen, people think that a marriage has to consist of that Hollywood style of love, the movies. That's not, I mean, you can proactively create that, right? Through your imaginative creation, right? You can say, you know what, I'm gonna bring her some flowers today. You can create it. You can. But people think they think of The Notebook, or they think of Pearl Harbor, you know, and those love stories, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, no, that's not what it is in the human world on a daily basis. You know what I mean?
It's not grand gestures.
I'll tell you what love truly is. Okay. Love is interdependence. It's a hybrid of interdependence, codependency, and coexistence. Yep. That's what love really is. Yep. You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Interdependence. Hey, I have my world that I operate in. You have your world. You have your world. Your brain has its own world. Yeah. My brain has its own world. We have our world. We have a world together. Yeah. And we do everything in our power to make our world better together. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%.
So it's interdependence, codependency, and again, just coexistence, man. Yeah. That's what a fruitful relationship is.
Dude, okay, you're saying so much and I love how you break it down to just, I love simplicity in this.
Absolutely.
But the coexistence, like I always say to a guy's like, I know you don't want to feel like a roommate with your wife, but are you a good roommate? Or do you leave your shit everywhere?
You've gone really deep.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
It's like down to the most basic thing, because you said communication.
Yeah.
And you and I are both excellent communicators. We both talk a lot, and people like to listen to what the fuck we have to say. Our wives don't always, because we're not necessarily using the tones or the words or understanding, wait a second. I asked Jesse, if the ball game, blowjob, dinner is my excitement, what's yours? And she goes, oh, that's simple. I go, what is it? She goes, I want a few hours alone in my own hotel room, just doing nothing, ordering room service. You have the kids, and I'd pop open, and there'd be some nice gift. Doesn't have to be crazy, but just something that you've heard me say over the year that I want. And I say them. I know I can go buy it myself, Keith, but I say it because I want to feel the joy of you hearing me and listening. And I think communication, the key to communication is this: good listening.
No, active listening.
Active listening. Hey, oh, tell me more.
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, what do you think more about that? So we got trust, we got love, we got communication. That's the foundation.
Yep.
And do you kind of rate yourself in those in your relationship and how you're doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, man, I'll give you an example. My wife has taught me how to be a better husband.
Yeah.
My wife has taught me how to be a better father. Like, she's literally coached me, because I didn't have nobody. I didn't grow up with a dad. I grew up with a single mother, and my mom was. This is the thing about my mom. My mom was mom and dad, right? And my mom, her love language to me was in two forms. Okay, her love language to me was programming. This is, praise God, this is why I've become this human being with, bro. I mean, you know where I come from.
Yeah.
I come from dirt poverty in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How would a guy from dirt poverty build a multiple eight figure empire? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, his mom, since he was a little child, told him he was powerful and that he was going to be somebody, and that, hey, our current situation isn't our final destination. You are the man of the house. You are my right hand. You know what I mean?
You were impregnated with leadership early on.
As a child. And then it's something my mom never, I don't remember, I promise. I do not remember my mom saying to me, you can't.
Ooh.
Not one time in my life.
Beautiful, man.
Right? So that was her love language, one.
Yeah.
Programming.
Ooh.
Okay, she programmed me to be, just like Custom Auto programmed Mike Tyson to be this ferocious animal in the ring.
Yeah.
My mom programmed me to be a go-getter, a leader, an overachiever. I don't even want to call it overachieving, because I don't feel like I'm overachieving.
Just
you see
achieving.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should have seen the stuff I wrote in my 5-year plan that you had me write yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's always fun when my buddies come in and see kind of my world and
beautiful.
experience some of the things, and then to think like, wow, like even what you said there, like, I've been saying this thing for a couple of years. No, I need to actually get on this thing.
I love it. I love it. I love what you, by the way, side note, guys, if you're listening out there, you need to get with this man. You need to ask him about the Ascend Brotherhood. Please ask him, because there are a lot of individuals like me, powerful husband, powerful entrepreneurs that are in that group. You need to ask this man about the Ascend Brotherhood. I'm telling you, I had a spiritual experience unlike any other, and I've been practicing actively spirituality for several years, and I'm telling you, man, I couldn't even show up in the morning because I was so energetically hung over. You know what I mean? So ask this man about the Ascend Brotherhood, but that's another day.
But you wrote down that 5 thing. No, you wrote down the 5 things.
Yep.
So you got goals. Your mother gave you programming.
Programming and acts of service.
Ooh.
She worked 2-3 jobs every single day while I was in high school. Like, as a child, middle school, high school, she worked 2 to 3 jobs. That's how she communicated to me, hey, I love you. I am this woman that doesn't speak English, and I am dishwashing at the airport, and I'm serving food at the cafeteria at the elementary school. You know what I mean? Like, this is how she proved to me that she loved me, through words of affirmation and acts of service. Never like, hey, come here, my son, I love you, let me give you a big hug and a big kiss. It was never like that.
But
right?
you're a loving, huggy guy, though.
So now I am. Because of my wife.
Okay.
And guys, do you think that it makes me less of a man that I know like out here in the real world, I have over 800 employees from USA to Mexico to Egypt. I have over 800 employees that work for me. When I go home, you know who runs that empire?
Your girl.
The queen. The queen.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm proud to say that. That is why, because she works hard to put it together and keep it together.
Yeah.
For myself and my our two daughters, like that is her, like whatever she needs me to do at home, like, hey, I get it. Hey, babe, can you throw out the trash? Got it. You know, most of the time she doesn't have to ask me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, babe, man, our water heater, it's leaking. Can you get that fixed? Got it, babe. You see what I'm saying? Like, but she's the one calling the shots at home. And I'm okay with that. Guys, do you really feel like you need to dominate like your cave?
Yeah.
No, it's so much easier when you let the woman dominate that area. She's not going to take away from you being a man.
Yeah. Well, it gives her power to serve you too.
She serves the entire family.
Yeah. So she's like, okay, you've been out killing. And first of all, what I've noticed here is that you guys have gotten really clear on your lanes. You're not butting heads over your lanes. And you are what. A lot of people, if they see something that doesn't look like the textbook of what they've been told they're supposed to see, they go, oh, that must be wrong, as opposed to going, well, there's two human beings that have created their lanes, and they're super happy doing it. You guys are really happy doing your thing.
We are.
You got the proof.
Brother,
you got the proof.
There's a reel that I did on Facebook. You can look it up. It had 1.1, I don't know, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 million views. And 80% of there was like 2,000 comments on this reel, and 80% of those comments were like scorn women. And that reel was about how I retired my wife in 2016. Brother, my wife has been working since we've been dating. My wife was working as a teenager. My wife was working as a young adult, right? And we had two children. We had one child before we had our second child, which was 2018. I'm like, man, I really want my wife to raise our children.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And I got both of us got so much like backlash because I retired her. And then guys, and if, by the way, the ladies out there that are listening, not only did I retire my wife, there is no prenuptial agreement when it comes to her and I, which was an option when we got married in because by 2019 I already had this empire, but guess who helped me build that empire?
Her.
My wife.
Yeah.
My wife helped me build that empire.
It's beautiful.
So I didn't keep her out. I'm in this for the long haul, brother. You know what I mean? This is what I'll say. You know, my wife has taught me how to be a better husband, and you know, she's helped me. And because women have this natural or supernatural intuition, right, and emotion that we men don't have. It's almost like a sixth sense, right? Something as small as, hey, babe, when you're away for business, make sure that you FaceTime the girls. You FaceTime us and the girls. Yeah. Before they go to bed. Done. Hey, babe, when you wake up in the morning, make sure you send us a good morning and see how we're doing. Done. You see, she's training me how to be a good father and a good husband. Why? Because remember, we want to make our world better together, right? You know what I mean? Like, we're constantly feeding and helping each other grow. And this is what will happen. I will admit this. A lot of marriages and a lot of relationships, when one individual is growing, right? One individual is growing. If the other individual isn't growing, we're very quick to pull the plug. Yeah, too quick. We give it a month, we give it 3 months, we give it 6 months, maybe we give it a year, but we pull the plug. And what do we say about love? Love is patient, right? Love doesn't judge. I can't believe she's still not reading the books I told her. Oh yeah, the 5 love languages. You should have already read that, right? Yeah. What do most men do in that case? What do most marriages do when the first sign of an obstacle, the first sign of resistance? What do most marriages do, Keith?
They freak out and they start either A, going outside of the marriage to look what they're thinking,
which will eventually lead to
get a
B,
divorce.
Which is divorce, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you truly love your wife or your significant other like you say you do, well, then you're just going to have to give it some time, because one person is going to influence the other. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And you're either going to be influenced by her or she's going to be influenced by you. But how do human beings learn? Demonstration.
Yeah.
Modeling.
Through our eyes.
You know what I mean? You see? So eventually, even if she has this like blockage that she's like, I'm not going to read books. I'm not going to go to seminars. I'm not going to join you on your spiritual retreats. I'm not going to. Eventually, they don't even know it, and they're already my wife just went to a gala. She went to Utah to this gala that one of my good friends and business partner was throwing, and we took our 10-year-old, and my wife was like, wow, this was the most amazing experience I've ever had. Wow. My wife is growing. So you got to give yourselves an opportunity to grow together, because what's going to happen is you either grow together or you grow apart. Yeah. Right? But if you love each other, you're going to be patient with each other. Yeah. Here, how patient was Jess with you?
Like, she waited years.
Did you hear that?
Years.
Years.
Yeah.
Years. My wife waited over a decade.
Wow.
For me to become this man that I am today. So when I started my journey, right, and I'm like, man, this isn't, she's not really, she's just growing a little bit. She's just growing a little bit, right? I was already in my mind, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm going to give her the same love and patience that she gave to me. Even if it takes 10 plus years, I'm going to be here. And guess what? It didn't take more than like 1 to 2 years, and then she just started catching on. And I'll say this, gentlemen out there that are looking, that are like maybe facing these issues, especially entrepreneurs. Oh, my wife isn't growing as fast as I'm growing. Man, when they turn that corner,
it's over.
They grow at such an acceleration that they might even blow past you. Yeah. They might even blow past you. So just remember that women not only learn quicker, but they do quicker and they grow quicker.
Yeah. I got 3 reflections on what you just said. You cool with this?
How do you like the way this is going, by the way?
I'm loving what you're saying, because you're saying everything I say, and I go, oh, that I have a principle that I can quick down to what you're saying. And you and I haven't talked a lot about this stuff off the thing, but it's been an energetic vibe for you and I. Number one, your wife was brave enough to communicate with you, hey, we would like this. Now, she's Latina, so she probably told you as an order as opposed to a request, because my wife's Latina as well. But she said, hey, FaceTime us before you go to bed and send us a good... What she did was saying, this is what I would like. She's not bossing you around. She's saying, this is how we feel loved. Most guys, because of our egos, like, don't tell me what to do. I'll do what you... Dude, of course your wife taught you, because she said, here's how I want you to communicate with me. It makes me feel loved. That's the first thing. The second thing is we always talk about, hey, listen, you've probably been a dickhead for a really long time. You need to give some grace to your woman.
I love it. And
realize that she probably has some PTSD of the Trevor you've been for a long time. Absolutely. So you think you're this growing machine, but you might be growing in certain ways, and you're saying she needs to read or she needs to do this. There's push leadership and pull leadership. We talk a lot about this in Married Game. So rather than say, hey, read this book, go to this seminar, where to this, I always go like this. What if you're such an attractive human being that she's so pulled into you to be like, where did you learn that? Oh, I went to this seminar. And she goes, that sounds like a place I'd want to go. And so many guys are wanting to force their thing down their wife's throat, pun intended. They're so ready to force, they're trying to push things on, as opposed to go, dude, what if your wife looked at you and goes, I'm so in love with this dude. I got to figure out why he's so on fire. That's pulling them in. It's called attraction. What you're saying is give them grace, learn to communicate. These are all the principles. And the last thing that you said was, I was patient with her. I'm going to love her even if it takes 10 years and it only took 1 or 2. What you're actually saying is one of our principles, or what I'm going to rephrase how we say it in a Married Game, and that you're saying is this. Her response does not dictate my standard. Your standard is, this lady who happens to be my wife is going to be loved this way, and this way. And if it wasn't her and it was some other extremely lucky lady that was in her shoes, she's going to be loved this way, and this way. Why? Because that's your standard of who you're going to become. Period. It's who you are. If you happen to be blessed to be under the gaze and attention of Carlos Reyes, you're going to get this, this, and this. Even if you don't respond to it, that's my standard.
Brother, let's
so you nailed it, bro.
Let's flow off of that. Let's flow off of standards.
Okay.
When there's a couple things. One is the way that you open up, the way that you approach your wife when it comes to communication is everything. I'll give you an example. One of our little challenges has always been the laundry room. Look, our challenges are the laundry room. You know what I mean? The closet. You know what I mean? Like these are our challenges, right? Good challenges to have. Yeah. It's not like, oh man, she cheated on me, or you know what I mean? Like we don't have those challenges. Praise God, right?
But these are frustrations that a lot of guys go through, like irritations, like
Yeah.
Okay.
So instead of saying, when are you gonna get? You just say, hey babe, can you do? First of all, look at the way I do this, right? Hey babe, what do you got going on today? Oh, nothing. I'm just gonna, pick up Michaela from school. I'm gonna get my lashes done. Okay, babe, can you do me a huge favor? If you have time, by the way, can you just whatever you can do in the laundry room, just whatever you can. If you need me to help you, by the way, I'm gonna get home around this time. Let me know, brother. By the time I get home, that laundry room is done.
Yeah.
But do you see that?
It's pull leadership.
Yeah, bro. That's by the way, that's the way that I handle myself at home now is the way that I handle myself in business.
Yeah.
I always I'm just very soft in my approach, and it just opens everything up.
Yeah.
Right? Because what happens is not only in your marriage, but out here in the business world, right? When you come in hot, walls go up.
Immediately.
Walls go up. I'll give you an example. Like my man here, AK, right? What if there's a difference? Because I have a whole media team, right? And instead of being like, what happened this morning? Nobody put out the 9 o'clock post. There's the wrong approach in business, right? Here's the right approach. It's like, good morning, team. Hey, just wondering if we're just wondering what happened to the 9 a.m. post.
Yeah.
Do you see those two huge differences there?
It's your energy.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Now it's like, instead of like, man, what an a-hole, and walls go up. Now they're like, damn, okay. Because, first of all, what is the mind response to what? Questions. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah. I'm all about questions. I'm a very curious person.
Yeah.
I'm always just asking myself questions. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's what I want to tell people out there that are having communication issues, man. Yeah. Just really be aware and reflect on the way that you're approaching your wife when it comes to everything.
Well, dude, if you don't act that way, your business isn't going to run, and it's going to hit you in the pocketbook, and it's going to cause you lots of frustration. So you go, there's massive incentive for me to be a great leader. And if you took that same frame at home and you go, wait a second, I'm going to get more love, connection, sex, intimacy, just caring, kind eyes looking back at me if I'm a good leader. Also, communication, I believe where a lot of guys break this down is defensiveness. And the key, I believe, to defensiveness is first we agree and then we exaggerate, right? Keith, you're always late. I know, I would never hang out with me either way. That would, you know what I mean? Even though I'm never late. But it's the next step is if you ask questions with no tone, you're less defensive. So if Jesse goes, hey, I need you to do this, and I'm like, you didn't tell me to do that. That's not what we agreed to. And that's a defensive tone as opposed to, oh my gosh, did you ask me to do that and I dropped the ball? No tone. There's no swords. I'm asking. And she goes, yeah, you told me that I know normally you do this, but you said you would do this specifically for me. Shit, I let you down. I actually forgot that.
Yep.
That's good communication.
Absolutely.
Non-defensiveness.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Right? And you want to also, you mentioned standards, by the way. Brother, the last couple of challenges that my wife and I have had, and where, by the way, it's been her that blows up. It's not even me. And you know what happens when she blows up? When she's like, right? You know what happens? I'm like, you know what? why don't we talk a little later when you're being a little more logical and you've calmed down?
Does she receive that very well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you know what happens? She will come back around, and she'll, like, when you hold because we're responsible for two things. If you think about it,
Okay.
we're responsible as human beings. We're really responsible, and we can only control two things: our actions and our attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care how she's behaving. If I need to look at my actions and my attitude. How am I going to react to this attitude, right? And what am I going to do? Well, that's actions, right? So if I hold my standard high and I'm just like, hey, you know what? I don't think it's a good time for us to do this right now. We'll talk later, right? When we both have calmed down a little bit. And what happens is they'll begin to feel guilty. My wife will begin to feel so guilty where she'll come around and now she's apologizing to me.
Yeah, it's the reverse in our relationship.
Yeah, now it's like
usually me that's got it.
Yeah, it's like she'll be like, hey babe, can I talk? Now she's asking me, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, sure, what's going on? Like I said, because what happens is, brother, you can, if one person is throwing all that energy at you, why don't you pick up and then you're like, well, you didn't do that, and then she'll be like, yeah, well, you didn't, and then now you're going into a vicious cycle of what you didn't do. It's like deflect back to you, deflect back to you, no accountability from either side, right? And that's a roller coaster, because you both, I mean, I've been with my wife for 20 plus years. We have a lot of dirt on each other, and that's a never ending game, right? So anyway, we learn how to, like, we want to try to avoid pain. We want to try to avoid all that, especially when there's children in the house.
Yeah, of course.
So my standards are, I am not going to go there with you. And now we're both doing that to each other. So we're just more calm, right? And logical about our disagreements. That's what they are. I don't call them problems. I call them disagreements. So now she'll ask me, hey, can I talk to you? And then we'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Just the same way you would with a business partner, the same way you would with a client.
There's no explosions.
There's no explosions.
There's no immature, throwing shoes or chairs, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, Jesse.
Which we've been through all that, by the way.
Yeah. Here's what I had to realize. I had to come and go, you know what? Because I'm more of the defensive, fiery one at first. And I say, I'll tell Jesse this. I don't think I'm seeing this right, but I feel like I'm seeing this right. I'm going to have to talk to you about this later, because my emotions, I have 17 things to say right now, and I don't think any of them are going to help the situation, A. And B, I don't think you're going to love me more if I say them in this tone or this emotion. And sometimes I'll have to sleep on it. And I just go...
Well, we have a rule, though. We don't go to sleep angry.
Okay, see, that's a biblical verse. I don't agree with it, but tell me why you guys like that, because it's worked the opposite for us. But, dude, this is why our relationship is working. Tell me why yours does. So what do you mean go to bed angry? What does that mean to you?
So we have, like, our marriage has principles.
Okay.
And when was the last time that everybody out there listening, when was the last time you sat down with your wife and actually created some partnership principles?
Okay, give me
because that's all it is. Like, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
Right? It's a partnership. There's some of the principles are, we don't go to sleep angry and we don't leave angry.
Okay.
And she's had a lot of death in her family.
Okay.
And like the next day isn't promised to us. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The next day isn't promised to us.
How does it work out practically? Okay, so I love that, and I agree with that.
It's not.
And we've had.
What if you leave out the door angry and you get into a car accident? Like, that's what my wife has always used to tell me, because that's happened in her family.
Okay, so here's how we handle it. We go, I love you, and the situation, I'm pissed off about it or whatever, but know that I love you. So we treat each other with a tremendous amount of respect, but I'll be like, I'm angry about this situation. It's triggered something in me. I need to sleep on this, because I'm going to wake up and think differently about it. And then I want to have the conversation there when I'm not inflamed and fired up about whatever it is I'm fired up about. But if I'm jumping on a plane, and I tell this to my wife all the time, and we're we're just disagreeing. It's never like knock down, drag out anymore. I just go like this. just know, and I've said this to her, and she goes, don't say that, but I do it anyway. I go, I'm jumping on this plane. I know we're working through a couple issues. Just know if I die on this plane that you're the love of my life. I love you like crazy, and that I've said and told you everything I've always wanted to tell you about how much I love you. And I'm still pissed about this thing, and I love you. I'll see you later. Yeah. So that's how we work through it. And I think through things better if I sleep on them in that regard, because I have to like get the emotion out of I'm wrong, and go, okay, no, Keith, you might be wrong. So, and it doesn't even matter if you're wrong.
Most of the time we are, by the way.
Yeah. So that's why for me, and that's what I'll tell her. I go, I know you're not dumb. And I know you're probably right. It just doesn't feel like it in the moment. I got to go figure out what's going on in here. And then I come back, and I'll tell you 99 times out of 100, I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk about my side of the street right now. I should have considered your feelings in this, and I didn't. I actually forgot. Dude, I booked a trip with me and Garrett that Jesse was supposed to come on, and I forgot to fucking book the tickets.
Oh, my God.
And she goes, oh, so where are we going? I go, oh, yeah. She goes, you forgot my tickets.
You slipped.
I go, I'm so sorry. And I realized what I said, that makes you feel like you're left out, huh? She goes, yeah. I go, man, that's the feel. I would never want any of my best friends to feel that way about me. So these are things. So is that what if you've got to get going and you guys are angry, do you guys just quick mend it, or what's the issue? Because sometimes you don't have the time to work through the hour long whatever.
No. We still give ourselves like. We still give each other a kiss, and you have to remember, I've been with her for 21 years. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, a lot of businessmen out there, they need to know this, that when you create love, peace, and harmony in your home, you are going to amplify your success in business. It's not the other way around.
Yes. It's
not, if I'm successful in business, my home will become successful. No. If your home life is successful, there's a strong possibility that your business life will be even more successful.
I agree with that so much.
Because that's where a lot of us don't know this, but I use my home now as almost a recharging station. I recharge with my wife. I recharge with my children. If I start to feel overwhelmed and a little bit of a burnout in business, man, I hang out with my family for 3 straight days, and I'm back. Yeah, or we'll go somewhere. You know what I mean?
Man, we have very similar patterns, because the Ascend Brotherhood, it's a weekend, and as you know, it
takes a lot from you.
Yeah, and we're having fun. We're pushing ourselves. You know what I mean? We're doing the cold plunges and the running, all the fun stuff. And I'm so excited after this podcast today. I told Jesse, I said, I'm come home, we're just going to hang. Because when your marriage goes from hell to heaven, which is what you and I worked our way to do, you're right. I can't wait to get home, because I've got a set of loving arms and eyes, and Jesse's going to give me a big old hug, and I got Jovi that's going to run up and be like, Dad, are we going, like, what are we doing? And you said this, and I love this, and I want to reemphasize it, because people are not hearing this simply by the statistic that you talked about earlier with divorce, and the statistic that I know that 85% of guys aren't experiencing the quantity or quality of sex they want in their marriage, and it's because of this one thing. You said this, I have created my house and my family to be a place of peace.
Absolutely.
You've set that standard. You won't settle for anything less. And you've gone to battle to make sure it's happened, and you've gone to battle with yourself.
We have extremely, extremely high standards in our family, as you can see. Right? For each other and for our children. Right? And by the way, I want the guys out there to know this too. You know, hey, I love my mom just like any other guy. And a lot of times, believe it or not, a lot of marriages out there, they have in-law issues. They have in-law issues. Right? And a lot of the times, it's because we as men and as husbands, we're not giving our wives the position, the priority. You know what I mean? A lot of like, specifically, I would say in the American culture, we're quick to why are you fighting with my mom? You know what I mean? Like, right? And even though, like, let's just say that our mom has growing to do, because my mom had a lot of growing to do. I love my mom, but my mom was fierce. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, it's like another woman comes in and then they're taking her little boy, whatever, right? Yeah. You know how that goes. So, but I just, hey, guys, if your wife is not being illogical, make her feel, hey, babe, no matter what happens, you are my number one priority. And by the way, that's actually a biblical commandment. Like, your wife or husband comes first, even before the children. You know what I mean? Well, so if they come before the children, they definitely come before the in-laws. What I'm saying is this: obviously, if your wife is a good human being, she should look to create peace and harmony when it comes to the in-laws, mom, you know, your mom and your dad, and her mom and her dad. But at the same time, if your mom or your dad aren't being logical and they're being old school and stubborn and just don't understand, give your wife the priority. Give your wife the position of like, hey, I understand you and I love you. Until I started pretty much communicating to my mother, hey, mom, you're wrong, and this is my wife. Yeah. And I would love if you guys got along, because this is my wife and she has my children. You know what I mean? Until I started telling, like, pretty much, hey, mom, I love you. Yeah. But this is my wife. Until I started doing that, guys, my mom then kind of like took her defense mechanisms down, and then they started getting along, and now they have the best relationship ever. My mom and my wife had a rocky relationship for over a decade. And again, you have to give your wife her place. So I don't know if you ever dealt with that.
Well, yeah, but in a very similar way. But I want to make sure I'm hearing you saying is, hey, be the leader in your house to set a boundary so that your mom doesn't feel like she's going to rule over the roost over your wife. 100%. And your wife feels like, I can't really say anything, and now I'm stuck. And an animal that's stuck doesn't act the way an animal that's free is. And when your animal, your wife, we're animals, right? We're animals and divine. We got a mixture of everything. And yeah, that's a really good point. How I experienced it with mine was, my family and I aren't that close. Like, my dad was amazing, but he's taught me to be extremely independent, and so and he has radically different interests than I do, and so. But my wife's family, they also have different interests and are maybe look at life a little differently than I do, but they are everything to my wife. And because I didn't necessarily gravitate towards, wow, I'd like to hang out with them all the time, I didn't understand that it was almost like a knock to my wife, that I didn't understand why she would want to. Even though now that I look back and I go, it's like her love and their family's fierceness for each other.
You're there a lot, aren't you?
She's there a lot.
But you should be there a lot too.
I'm there. We've worked out the exact
good
proportion.
Balance, yeah, got it.
We're like, she goes, I'm going to invite you to these things because I know that there's intrinsic value for you in there, and some external value that you're going to get. And like, she knows what will make me happy and which ones I'm going to go to out of, like, hey, out of love and support for you, I'll go to these things. So we've worked, but it's taken us 11 years, bro. Yeah, so I fucked this up very big time in the beginning, to where I was neglecting that understanding.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody does. I mean, your wife, you know, think about it this way, like birthday parties and big gatherings, you have to be there. Yeah. Because your wife feels empowered when you show up with her.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
She's so proud to show you off.
Yeah. Especially a specimen. Like, woo, boy.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
Okay, imagine this. Have you ever...
By the way, I want to get into that too. How the upkeep of men. Yeah. Because, you know, that happens a lot out there too. I want to get there. Yeah,
for sure. Dude, so there would be times where I would show up. And remember how, you know this because you were just with us for this weekend. I talk about energy. Everything's energy. I would show up out of obligation, but I had the stench of obligation. And this is what she said. I would rather you not show up if you're going to act that way. I would just rather you not be there.
You're like, what am I doing? I'm not saying anything to no one.
And she's like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You're in the corner not saying anything to no one. She goes, but if these were your friends, I know exactly. She goes, I've seen you party, motherfucker. I know how involved you get.
You are a fun time.
You are the
general of joy.
Yes, I am, baby.
Yeah.
But when I show up and I'm not acting that way, if I'm acting like a soldier of sorrow.
If you're not the general. You have the one-liners are ridiculous.
If I show up as the soldier,
does anybody in the game have better one-liners than you? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so, dude.
Okay, so if you show up to her family functions as not the general of joy, then something's off.
She's like, "Why don't I get the best of you?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Oh, fuck." And then I realized that was a low standard I have in mind. So you know what I did? And I'm going to actually use the word praise God here. I hardly ever say that, but I'm going to praise my Creator. I did this one. Her brother died 6 months ago. He has his little son was turning 5, and I said, I'm going to go to this party because I knew this was a big one, right? The jumpy house, the piñata, the cornhole, the whole thing, right?
The Latinos,
dude, they're in it, and I go, I'm not showing up the way I used to. I'm showing up as the greatest uncle of all time.
Oof.
I'm gonna make uncling great again.
Oof.
And I went there to be, and I'm like, I'm gonna walk out of here going, I was the best fucking uncle on planet Earth, and I did that, and that was the last party before he passed.
Oh man!
So it was like I did it, and when I went to that party and showed up the best I could, that was the last party where it was all the kids around, and Unky was there. But then he came to our Easter party right after that, and we had such a bond at that time that when we were playing cornhole, you know, if after a gummy or two, if you're playing cornhole and you get to the point where you laugh so hard you can't breathe, he and I were on our back. Literally, we couldn't breathe. We were laughing so hard.
That's the best.
And I wouldn't have had that moment had I not shown up like the uncle the month before at his son's birthday party. And that was the last time I saw him. And that memory of him and I laughing, someone took a picture of it, and that's the picture we posted at his funeral because he was laughing so hard, and it was like so much joy that we gave each other. So this has been a big thing for me where I was like, I'll just show up, and they're like, he just sits there and watches football. Or because they don't run businesses. Like you and I could sit here and we could just talk about business for probably 8 hours straight.
Which we haven't today, which is beautiful.
Yeah. We could talk about marriage for 8 hours straight. Yeah. We could talk about raising kids. Because you and I are in the same river rowing this boat and going, yeah. Not a lot of people are in our river rowing like that. So I would, rather than see the beauty in who they are, I would just be like, I don't really connect with you. And that's like, so you're not even going to show up like a good human being? Yeah. What the fuck's your problem, dude? So this is, I've learned this.
You said something powerful, by the way. It's something that I learned a long time ago, that you were giving Jesse the rest of you, right? And that's something that really changed for me several years ago. I would come home. I got a couple rules, by the way. Guys, take your notepads out. Yeah, baby. Right? Do not walk into your home on your cell phone.
Amen.
Okay? I have, that's another, again, we have all these principles. Now I'm wondering, I'm like, damn, that's why our marriage works amazing.
Yeah.
Because we have principles, we have boundaries, we have a foundation, right? She said that, hey babe, before you come through that garage, you can't be on your cell phone.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? You're right.
Yep.
And it took me a while, actively practicing that. So I'll finish my phone call outside. I'll finish it in the garage or whatever, because, as soon as I go through the door, I got two little girls, Daddy, you right? And then my wife amps them up too. Dad's home, Dad. You see what I'm saying? Like my wife, immediately just raises the energy in the home, right? And something one of my mentors told me years ago, this was about 4 years ago, he said, hey, Carlos, because, man, what I loved about this mentor was I didn't hire him for business. I hired him for because I saw that he was a great husband and a great father. And I saw the way that he would, again, demonstration and modeling, right? I saw the way he treated his wife, and I saw the way he treated his children. And he says, Carlos, hey brother, you're doing really, really good in business, but what are you giving your family? He says, are you giving them the best of you or the rest of you? And I'm like, holy shit. I'm giving them the rest of me. There's not, like, when I come home, there's not a lot left.
Yeah.
There's not a lot left in the tank. Bro, tell me why I only work 4 hours a week now. 24 to 30 hours max a week. You know what I mean? Like,
you mean,
I can't.
You said 4 hours a week. You meant 4 hours a day, 24 hours.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're like,
I
4
work
hours
4
a week?
hours a day.
Okay. Yeah.
24 to 30 hours max a week.
Yeah.
Because I can't wait home. I can't wait to go home.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go home and give my family the best of me.
Yeah.
And just remember this, for every father out there that's listening. Next time your little girl asks you to go play dolls in her room, be real with yourself. What's the justification of why you can't?
Yeah.
Because your little girl isn't always going to be your little girl.
That's true.
And one day she's not going to ask if daddy wants to play dolls with her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm living it.
So everything that my little girls ask me to do, you bet your fucking ass I do.
Yeah.
Everything, anything and everything. At least I try every single day. You know what I mean?
Well, because you call them principles, right? Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah. So one was, stop giving your family, stop giving your wife the rest of you. Give her the best of you. Don't they deserve more than what you give the world? Right? And there's an old saying. This is the old saying: is show me your calendar and show me your calendar and I'll tell you your priorities.
Yep.
The first thing I do with my wife, and now that we're stepping into the new year 2023, hey babe, as a family, what do we want to do? What do we want to go? And I try to schedule everything around them now.
Yeah.
Back then, it was like, hey babe, we want to, well, hold on, let me see if I can actually fit that into my, no.
Yeah.
Remember what I told you?
That's rest of you planning.
Exactly. Remember what I said? I said, bro, it's really difficult for me to leave my home.
Yeah.
Because I love being,
yeah.
Who doesn't like, I've created this harmony, right?
Yeah.
I love being in my home, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that, man. Give your family the best of you, not the rest of you.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm similar in that. That's why I like when the guys come out here to the man cave, because like when I went to go get the stand-up mic for where we were going to do stand-up comedy and the singing, I went home to get it all, and my daughter and my niece were in the jacuzzi. And I just sat there at the end of the jacuzzi for like 5 minutes, because normally I'd like rush, I got to go. And this last couple months, I'm like, I'm gonna insulate soul around everything I do. Soul. I'm not gonna rush. But why would I rush? I've got everything I want. Where am I rushing to? It's here. So I actually paused and I said, how's your guys' day? What are you guys doing? Like, not in the middle of, I got to come back to the party. It's, tell me about, if you're going to interact with me as my niece who lives in my house now, who's become like a second daughter, a third daughter, because I have another one that lives in Vegas with her mom, but a second daughter under my roof now, and my daughter, I'm training them what they're going to get when they run into me. So when there's daddy's home, if you're on the phone, hey, come here. They're like, I don't want to go rush up to that. There's no energy. It doesn't feel good. There's no energy back. He's not. This is the word we've been playing with a lot, right? Lately, he's not radically present. And if you're not present, that means you're not really here. And if I don't have your energy back, my daughter, when dad's home, she gets pumped because she goes, oh, he's present when he's here. He's probably going to ask me after he goes upstairs and gets his comfortable clothes on if I want to jump on the trampoline, if I want to go ride a bike, if I want to go to the jumpy house.
Even if you don't have the energy.
I always have. Have you heard me say my quote, I never tell my family I'm tired? No. My family has never heard me say I'm tired.
I love that.
You know why? Because my clients, my customers, my friends have never heard me say I'm tired.
So
why would they? So it's similar. Can't you be honest with your family? Listen, dude, if it's really late and we're all tired, yes. But I don't come home and go, guys, I've had a long day at work, so you're going to get the rest of me. No. And so you got to settle that shit before you walk back in the door. Okay. And this is why I took Mondays off. Because I don't look at Saturday and Sunday as an off day. I look at Saturday and Sunday as I'm a full-time dad those days. I'm a full-time husband that's radically present. And so I don't want to be like, this is my time off. You guys get me on my time off. Fuck that. You get me on my time on. My time on is I'm more on with you guys than anybody.
Absolutely.
I would never show up to this podcast and go, hey, man, dude, it was a late night. I'm probably not going to have a lot of energy. If you could kind of just say something interesting, that'd be great. You'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with you, dude?
Yeah.
And everybody watching us would be like,
you're not showing up. Yeah.
So that's why I said, I'm going to take Monday off to do whatever I want. But Saturday and Sunday, at the very beginning of Saturday, sometimes Friday night, my daughter and I, we pull out, what's the itinerary for the weekend? I let her choose.
I love that.
And we call it the playlist. Why? Because here's the third principle that you mentioned that I want to just, these are, you're saying everything I teach, and I fucking love it, even though we've never talked about this.
Yeah.
And this,
I do.
What's that?
It's like, that's what I do.
I know.
You know what I mean? I don't, you know what I mean? And
yes,
you do and teach, yeah.
And I realized that when you said, hey, go play dolls with her, I realized, wait a second. The reason I've been having so much success with my daughters, I don't ask her, hey, do you want to come do this with me? I go, what do you want to? She's an 8-year-old daughter. She's an 8-year-old girl. And you know what I asked her? The biggest question I asked her, this was like 3 weeks ago. I said, I don't really remember what it's like to be 8. But when I relive your first, it reminds me. I said, so when we went the first time to an escape room, I said, what is this like for you? And she now knows, because 3 weeks ago,
I love that.
I said, will you tell me everything that's happening when I ask you? It's not because I'm trying to be intrusive.
You just want to tap back in.
I told her this. I said, I want to remember what it's like to be 8, and you're my best chance. You are telling me and reminding me what it's like to be 8 years old. And she goes, no problem. No problem. So now I go, hey, as an 8-year-old, what do you think? Because we were driving. We went. Have you ever done the VIP thing at Disneyland?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only way to go. Right?
Yeah, no lines.
Yeah, no lines. Yeah. And so we did that. Me and Vargas, we went probably 3 weeks ago, right? Yeah. So I go, Jovi, where do you want to go? Jovi, what do you want to do?
It's their day.
Connect with them. And then as we were driving there, I go, okay, you're an 8-year-old. You've never been to any VIP thing except we went to Universal Studios, did the same VIP thing. And like literally there's no lines there in the Harry Potter experience. And she goes, I'm so excited that I can't believe we're doing Disneyland with no lines. I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I got her to, like, what is her experience? And so and I'm not like, no, that's not right. I'm like, that's your experience? I want to know more.
Yeah.
Radically present. So I'm really, dude, you're hitting on all the things,
let me touch up on that.
Please.
A lot of people,
good stuff, dude.
A lot of people, praise God, man. A lot of people don't understand this, but how do our wives and our children spell love? Time.
Yeah.
That's how they spell love. Not with our money and our gifts and our, the way we provide. No, they want our time, and they want quality time.
Yeah.
They don't just want time like, hey, you're on the couch, I'm on the couch, I'm on my phone, you're on your phone. They want quality time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with my daughter, my 4-year-old, if I play dolls with her for 15 to 30 minutes, I just filled up her little love tank.
Yep.
I don't even need to play for 3 hours.
Yeah.
30 minutes max, and her little love tank she's done. She goes and runs off and does something else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I've had enough with this guy.
So that's why, that's what I'm trying to tell people is, hey, how do our children and our wives spell love? Time, right? Yeah. Give them your quality time. And back to what you said, that as a father, that changed so much for me in a positive way, when instead of trying to make them do what I wanted to do, like, bro, adulting kind of sucks if you think about it, right?
That's exactly what my daughter says. She goes, I don't want to become an adult. I want to be a kid.
Yeah. My kids, man, I always tell my 10-year-old and my 4-year-old, I said, hey, I just want you guys to be just kids.
Yeah.
I want you to have the best childhood ever. And I know that's going to be, imprinted on the back of their mind, but I'm like, what do you guys want to do today?
Yeah.
Like, it's all about them. Like, that's quality time.
Yeah.
Forget what I want to do. Let's do what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's helped out a lot. And it's just been, man, everything, guys, people need to understand all of this. It's watering your grass, it's like, it's, you gotta be proactive with it. You gotta actually put some effort into it, into your wife, into your children. You can't just exist and just think that everything's going to be beautiful, Like you got to work on it like you work at anything else, man.
Yep.
You know, so it's a great thing that you hit that.
I want to piggyback on what you just said, because I had a real, everything you're saying is so spot on, dude, and I'm loving it. And the quality of the time you spend with somebody is based on the quality of presence that you're willing to show up as.
Yep.
The other thing that I thought that was so interesting is we have metrics. Each dial has a metric in our thing. So my parenting dial, for me to get a point that day, I have to spend 30 minutes of alone time with Jovi, or 30 minutes of a time where I'm engaged with her as a family, or like I'm there watching her gymnastics. I'm like, if my daughter can't get 30 minutes of my time today, then I can't say I was a good dad today. So that's my standard.
I love it.
That's something I set for myself.
Yep.
What's interesting is people go, I want this situation to change. And we've all heard, you know, the grass is only green where you water it. I think people forget that change actually starts at the choice. You take the first action to create the change. Let me give you an example. You use the watering lawn, and this actually blew my mind. I learned this and really came up with this concept about a month and a half ago, and it switched how I see almost everything. My dad used to make me hand water the brown spots in our grass growing up, right? And he would say, hey, I want you to put 15 minutes of water on this big area. And I remembered as an 11, 12, 13-year-old boy that just because I watered it day one, the grass was still brown as shit. It was still brown as shit on day 9. It didn't even start to show new green until day 10, day 14, day 18, and it wasn't fixed until about 30 days.
Wow.
So people go, I want something to change. Here's what had to change. I had to choose to turn the water faucet on and start watering. I didn't see any green. I didn't see any change. The process of change starts when you start watering, not when you start to see the green.
I love it.
That's what you're talking about.
Absolutely. And, you know, these are things that you don't realize. Like, you just don't realize. First of all, again, I didn't have anybody to model off of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have a father figure that made a conscious effort in trying to be a good husband and a good dad. Yeah. And, you know, another thing that really helped me, and this is for a lot of the fathers out there, right, is I told you I didn't know how to be a good husband and I didn't know how to be a good dad, right? Because I didn't have that in my life. One day we were taking a trip to actually here, Dana Point.
Really?
We took a trip to Dana Point. We always come here and we rent like a Airbnb, like right on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Bring the kids and everything. And one day, my brother-in-law, he's a great dad, and he had a great dad, right? Coincidence, right? And I remember they were building sandcastles. You know, the kids, his kids and my kids, and then I'm over there. I was talking to Cody Sperber on the phone, right, working under the porch as they're in the sand building sandcastles. And Adrian, my brother-in-law, he comes over and says, "Hey, bro," he's like, "That could wait, right?" He's like, "Let's go over here and play with the kids." And then I go, "You know what, man? How come I don't want to build sandcastles? Why don't I want to do these things? You know?" And then he's like, hey, bro, well, you didn't have a dad. Like you don't know what it's like to try to be a good dad, you know? And he goes, I got some advice for you. And this changed my life for the rest of my life.
Spit it.
And I was thinking about this last night even. He says, just think back of little Carlos, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know? He's like, what kind of dad would you have wanted? And then he goes, why don't you just be the dad that you wish you could have had? And ever since that day, I just try to be the freaking best dad that I wish I would have either had or that I could be to my children.
And that includes, I'm sure, you setting up guardrails so that they don't go flying off the side of the mountain. How do you handle that? That's the way I look at principles or guiding posts, is the guardrail. So because I know me, I can send this vehicle right off the side of the mountain in a hurry, dude. I've demonstrated it time and time again. The principles I put in my life have given me the guard post to keep the thing on the road to peace, harmony, all that. How do you show up when you need to teach them discipline or tell them no, or, hey, that's not, I know that looks amazing because who doesn't want 17 pounds of candy? So, and because you're saying I want to be the best dad, so we're relating to them at their level, but then you also know there's things they don't see at their age that you see. What's your angle on that?
My daughter's 10 and my younger daughter's 4. I have yet to have to spank them.
Yeah. My daughter's 8. I've never had to spank her either.
Normally, our voice is enough.
Yeah.
And they love dad and respect dad so much that when your voice gets a little hard, that's it, right? Like they know, right? I try to really communicate with my children. I'll give you an example. Ready? Last weekend, I believe, my 4-year-old was running around with a Mexican, a little. Have you ever seen those watermelon with the watermelon chili lollipops?
Yes.
Right, the sandías, right, right.
Yep.
She's running around and she's running around and jumping on couches and doing all this, and I go, Sienna, her name's Sienna. I go, hey baby, hey, can I talk to you for a second? You see, right?
Yeah.
She comes over, right, and she gets right in front of me, and I look at her. I said, hey, take the lollipop out your mouth, please. You see, I'm very kind with my words, right?
Yeah.
And I go, hey baby, I said, can you do me a favor? Can you not run around and jump with the lollipop in your mouth? You want to know what's going to happen if you do that? She's just like, what's going to happen, right? I go, you're going to choke.
Yeah.
I literally did that.
I
do the whole thing.
Yeah.
I go, right? And then like I just to be funny, right?
Yeah, of course.
To trigger.
Yeah.
And I go, and what happens if you choke? She goes, I die?
Yeah.
She's like, yes, you die. And then she goes, and then I don't get to see mommy and daddy? I said, nope, no more mommy and daddy, right? So then my wife comes out, right? And then I go, Sienna, tell mommy what I told you about the lollipop. And she goes, mommy, I don't run around with the lollipop in my mouth because I choke and I die. Like she reenacted the entire thing.
Right.
But that's what I'm trying to say is I try my absolute best to communicate.
Yeah.
To help them understand.
Yeah.
Because listen, and I thought about this the other day, man. I go, you know what? We have, like, human beings have communication issues. Mm-hmm. I go, it's very difficult to communicate with children. I go, shit, we can't even communicate with other adults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So how do we expect to communicate with children? We can't even communicate with adults.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to just being patient and really communicating. You have to let them know why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm the same way with my daughter. Yeah. And I think daughters are great like that. You can explain.
They understand.
Yeah, they really get it.
They understand.
They really like.
So that's how I communicate with. I try to communicate with my children that way, bro. I have yet to spank them.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how I do it.
But you got to say no at times.
Yep.
Hey, you can't do. We're not the reason. But it sounds like if you tell them why. It sounds like what you're doing, and this is the way I've approached my kids, is I want to explain, I want to talk to them as if I cared about keeping their dignity intact. Because I like when people talk to me and keep my dignity intact. Absolutely.
And let me just say this, right? For everybody, every father and every husband that's listening out there, pour into your family the most. My wife, several years ago, I started publicly speaking in 2016. My first gig was in Vegas. It was super cool. Some real estate event, had a couple hundred people. And ever since then, since 2016, I just started pouring into everybody, right? I started pouring and pouring. But I wasn't pouring to my family at home. And then my wife goes, hey, how is it going to feel? I go, how's what going to feel? That you pour into thousands of people all across the country, and those people are pouring into their children, and you're not pouring into your children. Man,
whammo.
That hit me like a bag of bricks.
Yeah.
And ever since she said that to me, by the way, my daughter's in the 5th grade. I have dropped her off every single day of her schooling career in the morning, dad has dropped her off every single day. And it's probably something that I'm going to do until she is able to drive. That's our time. That's our quality time that you were talking about, right? And guess what, Daddy and KK, I call her KK, MJ, Michaela Jade, right? Guess what Daddy and KK talk about every morning? Life.
Yeah.
That girl, as a 10-year-old, is so smart that I was able to take her to a gala, and she was one of 2 children at the gala.
Yeah.
That's how much of a little woman she is.
Yeah.
Because I pour into my 10-year-old so much. So much. And guess what? I don't ask her to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't say, go do this sport, go try this. No. And guess what? She ran for student council last year and won. She ran for some type of coach, and she won. She got herself in the spelling bee, and she was ranked 4th in the entire school.
Wow.
Right? Like, I don't ask her to do any of this, and she does it. My point of this is, for everybody out there that's listening, ask yourself this question. Are you pouring more into strangers outside of your home than you are into your own wife and children? Because your legacy is going to be carried by the people in your home.
Yeah.
So start pouring into your family the most that you can every single day, constantly and consistently.
Yeah, dude. I love that you say that. And I've taken that concept of pouring into your family, and I've turned it into a term that you and I and guys really understand. And I use the term invest. Because we understand, like, I know what it's like to cut a check for a property. I know what it's like to cut a check for, hey, I'm in that deal. I know what it's like to cut a check. And when I'm invested in something, my heart follows. You know what I mean? I go, okay, hey, I'm investing in you guys, and I realize that the more you invest in, the more the return comes back.
Absolutely.
And it's a return of, we call it the ROI, return of intimacy. There's that intimacy, because my daughter knows, dude, my dad will drop anything for me if I really need this. My dad knows that.
Absolutely.
How confident are you going to be as a girl if you had you and me as a dad? You're walking into school and you're like, hey, dude, any guy even mess with me?
Yeah.
You're going to have to. There's a gorilla back there that's
absolutely
ready to.
Let me just say this to every father out there, right? When was the last time that you pulled your little girl aside and literally looked at her, sat down with her, and said, hey, I want you to know that you are the most important person in my life and in this world. And no matter what daddy's doing, whether I'm on the phone or I'm talking to somebody physically, you come first. You come and get me. You interrupt whatever it is, and you are number one. When was the last time that anybody, I've done that with my children several times, by the way.
Wow.
I've done that with my children.
Yeah.
You have to let them know. You got to let them know. That way they know, like, okay, if daddy's on the phone, whatever, just like you said, by the way, it's funny. You're just triggering a bunch of things, and then I'm triggering a bunch of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because
I'm like, oh my God, it's so crazy. It's beautiful, actually. I don't want to use the word crazy, but I have literally pulled my daughter, my 10-year-old, I would say at least 3 times, and said, hey, no matter what I'm doing, and if you need me, you are the number one. You are the number one priority in my life.
Yeah.
So you come and interrupt whatever it is that I'm doing. I don't care if I'm speaking on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm doing everything that I can, brother, as a husband and as a father every single day, because you know what? Being a good husband and being a good father gives me. Not only does it give me so much empowerment, right? But it actually gives me a lot of like personal confidence too.
Yeah. And personal power.
Personal power, man.
Yeah.
Being a good husband and being a good father, right? It's like I walk around with my head up, not in an egotistical, prideful way. I walk around just feeling very empowered. Like I am doing everything in every compartment of my life to do the best that I can every day.
I love that so much. Dude, we've hit a bunch of themes here. I want to save the producer one for later, because that one, there's questions I want to ask you about your mindset, and as you made more money, what were some of the limiting beliefs you had to overcome to do that? But I want to ask you some deeper questions. There's some underlying stuff about it, because as I continue to build my thing, and there's money limitations that somebody implanted to me at points that I'm running into, and I'm going, okay, I'm going to have to, I think this way, but I know somebody else who's already overcome this one probably thinks about it differently. And there's some scenarios I want to put you into to ask you about, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? But I don't want it to be the addendum, throw it away. I want to dive into it because there's a lot of guys out there that probably heard your statement, hey, I only work 4 hours a day, only 24 to 30 hours a week. And they're like, well, yeah, no wonder you're a great husband, a great dad, because that's your schedule. I know how to interpret what you're saying is I worked my ass off to get my business to a point to where I could do this, so I could do this. But there's a lot of that I want to dive into.
Absolutely.
So I'm requesting your presence for a second show whenever.
Yep.
You'll probably be back in Dana Point again,
Yep.
and we're not going to stop hanging out.
Yep.
And I want to dive into that one because, dude, you've created phenomenal like real monetary and abundance and success in that way. And I think there's probably ways you think about it and or principles the same way you have about marriage and being a dad that are like guiding principles for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We definitely got to do, I think, a part 2, and we'll throw a lot more business in there.
Yeah.
A lot more business, but I love
This is good, man.
I love what you're doing, bro. I love what you're doing because, you know, again, who in America is really, you know, socially programming people to be better husbands and better men and better fathers? Very few, far in between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And usually it's to get something. A lot of programs are like, if you do this, then you'll get her to do this. And I'm saying, why don't you become this?
Yeah.
And let her be so attracted to, like,
Absolutely.
the reason my wife and I have such amazing sex and why she looks at me the way we do and the way you've been around this last week and we're so jokey with you and we're playful.
You guys have fun. Yeah.
We have a lot of fun. It's because we put a lot of work into it, and there's guiding principles that have created the success we've had on that. So it'd be fun to dive into that on the money thing. And but thank you for all that you've shared today. Thank you for showing up as who you are, man.
Thank you, brother.
Because it's inspiring. It's fun being around you. The energetic. I just can sit with you and be like, hey, we're gonna have a good ass time no matter what we do. And
Spike ball was. It was beautiful,
dude.
Spike ball was beautiful.
That was so fun, but your level of shit talking is elite, which brought out another level of my shit talking.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun, man. So
I think man, in a beautiful, positive way, I think everybody got super competitive on that day. You know what I mean? With Sarge and Al, you know what I mean? I don't know if you saw, but Al actually, there was an incident where the ball bounced and he shouldered it back into.
I saw it.
Yeah, I've never
That was the greatest shot ever.
That
was the greatest shot ever.
Yeah, that's gonna go down in history. If someone got that, by the way, that's gonna go down in history.
I hope so, dude. It was almost as cool as the McGregor shoulder when he beat Cerrone. Remember when McGregor
boom,
hit him?
done.
That ball came up, he hit it, it went down, and they won the game. It was the winning shot too.
Absolutely.
That was what was crazy. So Carlos, I love you, man.
Love you,
Thank you for
brother.
being
Yes, sir.
here. There's so much more we get to do together
God
to
willing.
continue to share. Just the gospel of good living, man.
Yep.
And that's what you and I are doing, and we're sharing with the world. So thank you, man.
Thank you for being a shining light, brother.
Listen, we love you. We're glad you got to listen. As always, hey, if you like this, got anything out of it, share it. Why? Well, we want to grow the show because we want to be able to impact and affect more guys just like you. And as always, keep crushing it. That shit's contagious.